can draw this in Procreate. You can create this candy cane in Procreate. All you need are the brushes that are already in the app, and you'll need to follow this tutorial all the way till the end, of course. And once you are finished following this tutorial, then do be sure to share your work on Instagram and tag me in the image. That way I'll be able to find your work and perhaps we'll see it in the next You Can Draw This video. Now, if you like candy canes and other treats, then you might like freefromflow.com, because if you go there, you can get access to my Procreate freebies. Yes, freebies, so it's totally free. But let's jump right into this tutorial and get started. First of all, the canvas is 2300 pixels by 3000 pixels. Now, if you are setting up this new canvas size, do be sure to set your color profile to sRGB IEC with a code. I'll show it here, because that way your colors will look the same as mine, or at least they should come pretty close. For this tutorial, I have made a color palette, and you can find a link to that color palette in the description. Through the link in the description, you can download it for free. What we'll do first is go to the layer menu, that's these two squares, and we'll click background color. And we will set it to this nice blue color. And now we will go to a new layer. Well, it's not really a new layer, it's layer 1, but it's separate from our background color. And we are going to work on this layer and use this white color for our candy cane. And for the brush, we will use the monoline brush, which you can find under calligraphy. And to create a nice looking candy cane, we are going to make use of a drawing guide. We'll go to the wrench here in the menu and then turn on drawing guide. And then we'll go to edit drawing guide. And I want to set the pixels here to 325. And then we'll click done. And now we have this nice grid over here. You don't have to turn on assisted drawing because we just want to use this grid to measure some stuff out. Now you can click done, and what we'll do now is draw a circle. Our opacity of this brush is at 100%, and let's go for 40% in size. And let's draw a circle. Hold your pen in place to make it snap to a quick shape, and when you hold one finger on your screen, it'll snap to a perfect circle. And I want it to be about 4 blocks wide, and the height will be 4 blocks as well, since it's a perfect circle. And now let's go to the move tool, that's the arrow over here, and place it in the center. You can turn on snapping here at the bottom. I can turn magnetics off. We'll turn on snapping, and now you can make it snap to the exact center, the vertical center, and you'll just have to guess a little bit that it's aligned with that horizontal line. Now we can click the arrow again, and we are going to make another circle. We are going to make a new layer for that, so we'll go to the layer menu and click the plus for a new layer. And now we will make a circle that is 2 by 2 blocks. So hold your pen in place, tap one finger on your screen, and it's already pretty nicely positioned. You can go to the arrow to move it a little bit so you're sure that it's in the center, like that. And then you can click the arrow again to get out of the menu. For our candy cane, we only want to use the top part. Now what we'll do is first we will merge these layers, so you can just pinch them together. And now we are going to use the selection tool, that's the S-shaped ribbon, and we will set it to rectangle. And now we are going to select the upper half like this. You can use the grid as your guide, and we are going to select that top part like this. And now we can drop in the color to fill that top part. Since we only want to use the top part, we will need to remove the bottom half. To do that, we can invert our selection to remove this area. We can click the S-shaped ribbon, click and hold it to get back into the selection menu. And now you can click invert to invert your selection. So now only the bottom half is selected. And now you can swipe with 3 fingers to erase that area. Now we got a nice and clean looking top part of our candy cane. We're going to make a new layer, so we'll go to the layer menu again and click the plus. And now we are going to create a small circle. Hold your pen in place and then tap one finger on your screen to make it snap to a perfect circle. And then go to the arrow and let's move it to that line that we got here. And while you have it set to uniform, make this circle a little bit smaller so that the sides align with the outer edges of that arch that we created. Let's click the arrow again to check if it's nicely aligned. We can zoom in a little bit. You can see that we have a little bit of a gap here, so we can make it a little bit bigger. We can go to the arrow again and just make it a tiny bit bigger. Let's see. Still we have a tiny little gap for the perfectionist. So we'll make it a little bit bigger and you can tap, move it down a little bit. Then click the arrow. And I think we can be happy with this. I think it's looking good. Now we'll want to duplicate this circle. And we'll do that by swiping down with 3 fingers and clicking duplicate. And now we'll want to move it straight down in a perfect vertical line. So let's go to snapping and turn on magnetics. Now it is magnetically connected to the rest, to the other circle, to the other shape. And we can just move it down like this and it'll follow that line. Let's see if we moved it down far enough. I actually want some more space between that top part and that bottom part, so let's move this area up a little bit. So we'll have to select that arch and that circle, so we can swipe to the right to select them both, then go to the arrow and move it up a little bit like that, and then we can click the arrow again to get out of the menu. Now we need a 3rd circle for the area here. We don't want it to be cut off like this, so let's go to that first circle that we made, that's layer 2, and again we'll duplicate it. Again, you can do that by swiping down with 3 fingers, or you can do that over here by swiping to the left and clicking duplicate. And I will go to the arrow tool, to the move tool again, and it's still set to magnetics. And now we can move it to the right and it'll be perfectly aligned with the other circle. Now let's go out of the menu by clicking the arrow and let's check if it's correctly placed. We can see a little gap. So let's go back to the arrow, to the move tool, and move it to the right. You can do that with small increments by tapping to the right of this selection box. Then click the arrow again, still tiny gap, another tap. That's looking good. Now I just want to move it down a little bit, so again we'll go to the arrow, to the move tool, and now we will move it down in a straight line to about here. And then click the arrow again to get out of the menu. Now we are going to connect all these parts to really make our candy cane. First, let's just merge all of these layers and make a new layer on top to make our connecting lines. Let's start here at the bottom. Make a straight line up and hold your pen in place to make it snap to a perfect line. And you can go to edit shape in case you need to move it around a little bit to make it smoothly connect with the rest. Then we'll click the brush tool again and make a line over here. Hold your pen in place to make it snap to a perfectly straight line and go to edit shape in case you need to move it around a little bit. Click the brush again to get out of the menu, and let's do the same on this side. Edit shape, move it around if needed, and go to the brush tool again. And finally on this side, go to edit shape, and then click the brush. And now we have a closed, wonderfully looking candy cane shape. And before we can fill the shape with white, we need to merge these layers. So again, let's pinch them. And now we can start dragging in the white to fill our shapes. Now that we have our perfectly looking candy cane shape, we can turn off the drawing guide. We can go to the wrench and go here to drawing guide and turn off that slide. And click the wrench again. Now I want this drawing to look a little bit more playful, so I want to twist our candy cane a little bit. So we'll go to the move tool, that's the arrow, and you can use this green little handle over here to make it rotate. Now we have snapping and magnetics turned on. So if we turn that off by going to snapping, you can make it turn smoothly and put it in any angle that you like. I'm rotating it to 77 degrees. And now you can click the arrow again to get out of the menu. Actually, I also want to make it a little bit smaller to give it some space. So again, click the arrow and use one of these handles in the corners to make it a little bit smaller. You do have to be sure that you have it set to uniform. And let's place it in the center of our canvas and then click the arrow again to get out of the menu. And now we are going to turn this in a sweet looking candy cane. We don't want to destroy our perfect shape that we created here, so we are going to work on separate layers. Let's click the plus for a new layer. And now we are going to clip this layer to our candy cane shape. Click the layer, then click clipping mask. And now whatever we paint on this layer 2 will only show up on our candy cane shape. For our color, we are going to pick this bright red. And for our brush, we will stick with the monoline brush. Let's make it pretty big. Let's go for 85%, for example. And the opacity is still at 100%. And now we are going to make that typical pattern on our candy cane. We'll start here and make a curved line like this. Because of course, this is not a flat shape. It is a rounded shape, so these lines, this pattern will curve a bit. And you can either color it in by hand like this, which is quite relaxing, or you can make a closed shape like this and fill the color by dragging in that circle. And we'll follow along the shape of the candy cane here. So the angle of these lines will change a bit. And finally, let's color this tip. Now we have a super flat looking candy cane. Even though it has these curved lines, let's give it some depth. We are going to do that by adding a multiply layer. First click the plus and clip this layer to our candy cane shape by clicking the layer and using clipping mask. And now we will set the blending mode of this layer to multiply. Click the N, then scroll up towards multiply. What multiply does is it darkens the layers underneath. So it's great when you want to make a shadow on a separate layer. Let's change our brush. Let's go to the airbrushing brushes and use the soft brush. And for the color, we will pick this dark red color. Our brush opacity is set to 40%. And for our brush size, let's go to 6%. And now we are just going to follow the outline of our candy cane. So don't touch the center, just add a shadow on the outside. And here at the bottom. And we'll also follow this edge. You can hold your pen or the tip a little bit on the outside of the shape. So you don't have to draw here, but we can go a little bit on the outside, following that shape. Darkening this side. And we'll go along this edge again. And since we have the opacity at 40%, we need multiple strokes to make it really dark. But that also gives you a lot of control since you need those multiple strokes. I think this is looking good. Now let's use a slight blur to make this look even softer. Let's go to the magic wand in the menu and then go to Gaussian blur and select layer. Now if you slide your pen or your finger to the right, you can blur this layer. Let's go for, let's say 14.8%. And click the magic wand again to get out of there. And wow, this is already looking so much more 3D with just a simple act. Next, let's add a highlight. We are going to use a layer blending mode again. We are going to create a new layer first for our highlight. So let's click the plus. And again, just to be sure, let's use clipping mask so we won't be painting outside of that shape of the candy cane. Now we will click the N again. And this time we will set the layer blending mode to screen, which is great for adding highlights because it lightens the layer underneath. We will stick with the soft brush, and for our color we will use this light blue, that second color in the color palette. And let's make our brush a little bit smaller. Let's go for a big 3%. And now we will follow the shape of the candy cane again, adding a highlight like this. And you can make multiple strokes in case you want to make it lighter. Since we have a bit of a transparent brush. And again, you can use that Gaussian blur to soften this. Let's go to the magic wand, click Gaussian blur, then layer, and slide your pen to the right. Let's not blur it too much. Let's go for 6.9% and click the magic wand again. For the final touch, to spice this illustration up, we'll make a new layer underneath our candy cane. First, we'll have to click the plus for a new layer. And then we'll have to drag this underneath our candy cane. Now we'll go and use, well, still use the soft brush. We don't have to go anywhere actually. And for the color, let's still use that light blue. So for the color, we don't need to go anywhere either. Let's make our brush a little bit bigger. Let's go for 6%. And now we are going to make some light behind our candy cane. Just follow that shape and give it like a glowy, kind of like outline. And you can make multiple strokes, making it lighter, and you don't have to worry that it's looking a little bit messy right now. Because of course we are going to use that Gaussian blur again. Let's go there. Let's go to the magic wand, click Gaussian blur, and then click layer and slide to the right. And let's set it to 25.4%. And then click the magic wand again. And if you want it to look a bit more extreme, you can add another pass of light. Let's go a little bit bigger. 11%, and you can add an extra pass of light just on the outside of that candy cane. And then you can just blur it again by going to the magic wand and using Gaussian blur, set to layer, and blur this again. I'll go for 22.2%. and click the magic wand again. And there, with some super easy steps, you have created a 3D looking candy cane. I hope you have learned some techniques that you can use for your other artworks. Don't forget that you can share your candy cane on Instagram. Just tag me in the image, not just in the description, because that way I will be able to find it. Also, don't forget to go to freefromflow.com. If you haven't already, you can actually just click the link at the end of this video, or you can go there through the link in the description. I want to thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing your results, and I'll see you next week.